You slow down at the car accident, your eyes linger on the twisted metal, your heart races, but you can't look away. Later, you scroll past cheerful vacation photos to click on the true crime documentary. You know it'll disturb you. You watch it anyway. And here's what you're probably thinking right now. What's wrong with me? Why am I drawn to death, violence, and horror when I'm not a bad person? The answer might surprise you because your attraction to darkness isn't a character flaw. It's actually one of the reasons humans survived at all. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Right now, millions of people are consuming content about murder, disaster, and death. True crime podcasts have exploded into a billion-dollar industry. Horror films consistently dominate box offices. We rubberneck at accidents. We read about serial killers. We watch videos we know will make us uncomfortable. And we feel guilty about it, as if this fascination reveals something broken inside us. But what if I told you that your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do? Scientists call it morbid curiosity, and it's far more common than you think. Research shows that this isn't some rare psychological quirk. It's a fundamental part of human psychology. Dr. Coltan Scrivener, a behavioral scientist at Arizona State University, developed the morbid curiosity scale and discovered something remarkable. In his studies, morbid curiosity predicted over half the variance in people's decisions to seek out disturbing information. That means this trait is powerful, consistent, and incredibly widespread. But here's the really fascinating part. Morbid curiosity isn't new. It's ancient. Think about our ancestors walking through a dangerous world 70,000 years ago. Predators lurked in the shadows. Poisonous plants grew alongside edible ones. Hostile tribes competed for resources. In that world, the curious survived. The ones who investigated strange sounds, who learned from others' misfortunes, who understood what killed their neighbors. They were the ones who passed on their genes. Natural selection favored those who paid attention to threats. And that ancient vigilance system is still humming inside your brain right now. From an evolutionary standpoint, morbid curiosity makes perfect sense. It's an adaptive mechanism for threat management. Imagine you're living in prehistory. You see a member of your tribe attacked by a predator. Do you look away and forget? Or do you watch, learn, and remember exactly how that predator hunts? The humans who paid attention learned the patterns. They understood the warning signs. They survived. The ones who ignored danger didn't last long enough to become your ancestors. Your fascination with darkness is literally encoded in your DNA because it kept your great-great-great-grandparents alive. But here's where it gets really interesting. Humans developed something unique, something that turbocharged this survival mechanism: imagination. We can simulate threats in our minds without experiencing them. We can explore dangerous scenarios through stories, films, and media. This drastically reduced the cost of learning about danger. In the animal kingdom, learning about predators usually means encountering them, which is often fatal. But humans can learn about threats safely through fiction, through news, through the experiences of others. This is why horror movies exist. This is why true crime captivates us. We're running threat simulations in the safety of our living rooms. Dr. Scrivener's research revealed something else crucial. Morbid curiosity isn't just one thing. It has multiple dimensions. Some people are drawn to violence itself, wanting to understand what it looks like and how it unfolds. Others are fascinated by the minds of dangerous people, trying to comprehend how someone becomes a killer. Some are curious about body violations and the physical consequences of danger. And others are drawn to paranormal threats, the supernatural dangers that exist in our imaginations. You might be high in some dimensions and low in others, depending on your personal experiences and what threats feel most relevant to you. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually engage with dark content. When you watch a horror movie or read about a true crime case, your body responds with real physiological fear. Your heart rate increases, your palms sweat, stress hormones flood your system. To your body, the threat feels real, even though your rational mind knows it's fiction. And here's the remarkable part. This is actually good for you. It's like a psychological vaccine. By exposing yourself to manageable doses of fear in a controlled environment, you're building mental antibodies against real-world difficulties. Research conducted during the COVID-19 pandemic proved this in a dramatic way. When scientists surveyed people during the early months of lockdown, they discovered something unexpected. Horror fans were experiencing less psychological distress than non-fans. People who scored high in morbid curiosity reported greater positive resilience. They felt more optimistic about the future. They believed they could handle the difficulties ahead. Even when researchers controlled for personality traits, income, gender, and age, the pattern held. Why? Because horror fans had practiced being afraid. They had mentally rehearsed scenarios involving contagion, social collapse, and survival. When a real pandemic arrived, they had a toolkit of psychological resources ready to deploy. This doesn't mean morbidly curious people are desensitized to suffering. That's a crucial distinction. Studies show no real association between morbid curiosity and lack of empathy. In fact, the opposite might be true. When you watch a true crime documentary and see the faces of victims' families, something powerful happens. You give a face to the tragedy. You generate empathy for their suffering. You understand the real human cost. Author Eric Wilson, who wrote extensively about morbid curiosity, concluded that our attraction to the macabre is, on some level, a desire to experience someone else's suffering in order to understand it. This builds connection, not callousness. But morbid curiosity also serves another function. It helps you process your own relationship with mortality. Death is the ultimate unknown. We know it happens to everyone, but we can never truly understand it from the inside. This creates a profound uncertainty that humans have grappled with throughout history. By engaging with morbid content, you're confronting this uncertainty in small, manageable doses. You're developing a greater respect for life by facing death. You're finding meaning through the recognition of fragility. As Wilson wrote, the morbidity of sorrow is often productive. It's a time when the soul slows down and takes stock of where it's been and where it's going. There's also the element of pure stimulation. Your brain constantly seeks novelty. Daily life can feel monotonous. Morbid topics provide a unique thrill, a break from routine. This is why some people are drawn to the adrenaline rush of horror, while others approach it like detectives, trying to solve the mystery or figure out the killer's identity. Research shows both types exist, and both are satisfying different psychological needs. The adrenaline junkies want to feel alive. The detectives want to intellectually master the threat. Both approaches make evolutionary sense. Throughout history, humans have always demonstrated this fascination. In ancient Rome, gladiatorial games drew massive crowds to witness combat and death. In medieval Europe, public executions were treated as entertainment. In Victorian England, Gothic literature exploring death and monstrosity became wildly popular. The Brothers Grimm collected fairy tales filled with graphic violence. Artists like Francisco Goya created haunting paintings depicting war and cruelty. This isn't new. What's new is our access. The internet has democratized dark content. We can satisfy our morbid curiosity instantly, constantly, from anywhere, and this makes us feel more guilty about it, as if the ease of access reveals moral weakness. But here's what you need to understand. Average levels of morbid curiosity, even somewhat high levels, don't seem associated with negative psychological effects. You might feel anxious for an hour after watching something disturbing, but that's not a long-term problem. It's a natural response that fades. Cultural critics have claimed for decades that consuming violent or dark media leads to moral decay, but the data doesn't support this. If anything, engaging with morbid content in moderation appears to contribute to psychological well-being, not undermine it. So why do you slow down at the accident? Why do you click on the disturbing headline? Why are you drawn to darkness? Because millions of years of evolution shaped your brain to pay attention to threats. Because your ancestors who investigated danger survived long enough to have children. Because learning about death helps you appreciate life. Because practicing fear in safe environments builds resilience for real challenges. Because understanding darkness makes you more empathetic, not less. Because your brain is designed to seek out the very information that might save you someday. You're not broken. You're not morbid in the pathological sense. You're human. You're the descendant of people who paid attention when others looked away. You carry within you an ancient survival mechanism that helped your species navigate a world filled with predators, diseases, and dangers we can barely imagine today. Your fascination with darkness is a feature, not a bug. It's a sign that your threat detection system is functioning exactly as it should. The next time you find yourself drawn to dark content, remember this: you're not indulging a guilty pleasure. You're not revealing some hidden depravity. You're engaging with one of the most fundamental aspects of human psychology. You're honoring the curiosity that kept your ancestors alive. You're building psychological resilience. You're processing mortality in a world that often pretends death doesn't exist. You're doing what humans have always done, learning about danger so you can navigate life more skillfully. And perhaps most importantly, you're not alone. Millions of people share this fascination. It connects us to our evolutionary past and to each other. So the next time someone asks why you're drawn to darkness, you can tell them the truth. Because darkness teaches us about light. Because fear teaches us about courage. Because death teaches us about life. And because being curious about the things that could harm us is one of the most human things we can do. Your attraction to darkness doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who's paying attention, someone who's learning, someone who's prepared. And in a world that's still filled with uncertainty and danger, that's not a weakness, that's wisdom.